We are talking NFC West. Let's roll right along, and we're going to move on with the Seattle Seahawks here, Joe. The Seattle Seahawks. Again, and I talked about it earlier on when I talked about the division and how tough it's going to be, even though for the Cardinals when they're rebuilding and stuff, that Seattle still can't, count them out with the way they just are. They grind it out somehow. They still get the defense rolling. Again, you don't have Pete Carroll as the head coach anymore. He's still organized in the he's still got a different job in the organization. He's in the front office area, but something different, some change here for this team. So let's see how that affects this offense, this defense, and the players all together. Geno Smith had 2 years ago his best season ever. Last year kind of came back down to earth a little bit here still, but now you're on again another season here with him as a starter. You've moved on from Drew Lock to as that backup, so now you're like, Geno, there is no pressure. Here you are. And let's see what you can do. They still have a lot of talent here. Again, when you talk about the Seahawks, it kind of gets lost maybe because I feel like the Seahawks, they had their little bit of a buzz when Russell Wilson was there. You had that Legion of Boom defense and stuff. But even since some of those guys have moved on and all this other stuff, kind of get lost a little bit in the limelight. So a lot of people don't talk about this two-headed monster of a wide receiving core here in Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Plus now the third, you got Jackson Smith and Jigba. So, I mean, crazy weapons here. So we should be able to expect that Geno Smith, like I think like Tyler was saying too, if with Deshaun Watson, if you're just, plain old generic a guy, just not making mistakes, you should be able to get some stuff done with the weapons that you have here.
Definitely. I mean, they don't have any shortage of weapons. And even if we go beyond the starters, you look at a guy like Jake Bobo, who played well last year when he was given time, D. Eskridge, who's more of that speedster to take the top off the roof. And then Laviska Shenault, which I think is an interesting signing this year because this guy hasn't really done anything so far in this league. Very young, kind of was a forgotten man in Carolina, never really utilized. And yes, he was injured too. So maybe the organization got tired of him being injured, decided to move on from him. But he gets a second chance now in Seattle. He gets a chance to prove that he belongs. And if he does end up panning out, you got yourself 6 wide receivers that can rotate in and out and play really well. Obviously everybody knows DK. He's the Megatron of the new Megatron, I'll say, of the NFL right now, with his physique and all that. But again, you have a ton of weapons to throw to. And then even when you look at their tight end grouping, which is interesting to me because they don't really normally use tight ends at all. And until it's like desperation mode where they're like, well, our receivers aren't getting open, or, well, we just, for some reason, we can't get the ball to our receivers. Let's throw it to the tight end now. Noah Fant coming over from Denver in that trade with Russell Wilson. Now he gets sporadically used. He's a very fast tight end. I think you need to utilize him a little bit more. Open up the floodgates a little bit here, in terms of your offensive firepower. And then I will say this about, with Geno Smith, he did take a downturn last year. He looks to recoup that. But again, it's under a new offense. It's a new regime altogether, and a guy that's from the Baltimore Ravens. So what's interesting to me is a guy who's defensive minded and Mike McDonald is going to bring that same style of defense to this team. And the offense is a mystery. Is it going to be similar to what Baltimore ran when he was there? Or is it going to be a whole new thing? And that's going to be interesting to see, like, are they going to utilize throwing the ball? Is it going to be a balanced offense? I'm curious to see that in the season, how they're going to work it, with their quarterback and their receivers and so on.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Again, that's a tough division here for these guys. I am interested to see what they're going to be able to do. But it's a new start. Again, you've got this offense that when you look at it on paper, they should be able to do something here. Again, Kenneth Walker, the third, amazing runner. You see some of the big plays that he's had, the weapons galore. His offensive line, they do go and get Connor Williams, from the Miami Dolphins. I find it interesting that the Our Lads has him penciled in as the center, Joe.
Doesn't surprise me because as long as he's healthy, he will be the starter. Guy was a former Pro Bowler for him with the Dolphins. Like he's an amazing player. However, the only problem is he's coming back from a major injury right now. And there was some concern of how long is he going to be out? Is he going to be able to come back healthy early enough to even get a job or earn a spot on a roster? And the Seattle Seahawks doctors, they have obviously done their evaluations. They've checked all the boxes, and now they're saying that he's not that far off from being healthy as it was once thought. That he's probably within a week or so of being fully cleared and ready to go. So it makes sense to me that they've just kind of right now have already plugged him in as the starter, because not only is he a vet, but he's also a guy when usually you have a vet that comes in and he's definitely an upgrade over Olu. Mm-hmm. I think Olu has tremendous upside. I think he still can be an asset to them, but when you have a guy who's proven and is a vet and can come in and give you an upgrade, as long as he's going to be completely healthy for week 1, there's no question about it that Connor Williams is going to be the starter for them. And then you look at the rest of their offensive lines, 2 tackles, the left and the right last year were injured, were down. You didn't have your starting left tackle or right tackle. You had Charles Cross missed significant time. You had Abraham Lucas, who still remains to be on the PUP list. Still waiting to see when he comes back from injury. Those guys were amazing when they were healthy and in the lineup. If everybody is all ship shape and healthy and ready to go, this offensive line, I feel like, is not going to be just upgraded, but a team that's going to have one of the better offensive lines to deal with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just a quick correction. He was never a Pro Bowler here, but a very good player, though. Connor Williams. So that is an improvement, I think, too. Like you said, if Cross could stay healthy, I mean, that was a high draft pick that they had to help them move forward. I like the pick when they grabbed them. So let's hope that they can do better with him healthy and these guys moving forward. Now let's move on to the defense, Joe. What do you think about this defensive side, to where normally under Pete Carroll they still were fairly good, found that talent, but last year it seemed like I think their only 2 Pro Bowlers was Julian Love and Bobby Wagner. Somehow, I'm not sure. Let me just double check on that. But again, Bobby Wagner aging, on his way out. A lot of different names. They've moved on from a lot of different talent. So I think that's even why Pete Carroll was just shifted gears, moved away from the head coaching position here. But what do you expect from this defense moving forward?
That is the ultimate question, because this is going to be a new defensive scheme. They're not going to be playing the same way. They're not going to be in the same scheme that they were last year. So it's going to be different. It's going to be a little bit more aggressive, because if it's anything like what, Mike did in Baltimore, he's attacking. He loves to attack with his pass rushers. He loves to mix and match blitzes and confuse quarterbacks. So the roster overall, like, they have a solid roster defensively. They got a lot of nice young talent. They got some younger veterans that are going to be loving the fact that Mike McDonald is there, because Leonard Williams just signed an extension with them to keep him there. Jerron Reed, guys like Dramont Jones, a guy who was a pass rusher for Denver. He loves he's going to love this defense. He's going to be ripping off that edge, going right after the quarterback, stuffing the runs, and everybody else involved, whether it be the secondary, I should say a newly revamped secondary with Rayshawn Jenkins coming over from Jacksonville. You have Julian Love, like you just said, as a safety, Tariq Woolen, Devin Weatherspoon, Trey Brown. These are all those 3 guys that I just mentioned last are all young, up-and-coming Seattle Seahawks defenders. And it doesn't stop there. You look at their linebackers. Everybody, there's a youth movement there. We talked about that before with other teams. This, again, it's a young team. They got rid of Bobby Wagner, who was aging out and everything. Yep. They've moved on from some players, but they've replaced them with youth. They've replaced them with younger talent. And I really like what they've done in terms of personnel, but at the same time, I'm curious to see how good everybody fits this defensive scheme, because on paper, it looks like it's a match made in heaven. But on the field, we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah, yeah, and that's the thing. We'll see what happens when it all gels together. Again, I like the additions they've made too. Again, in that trade with the Giants here that they had a year or so ago. With Leonard Williams, it worked out for them too because they need that pressure. Besides Jaron Reed too, I really like Jaron Reed. And when we talked to Scott Engel during the draft, he was very high on Devin Witherspoon. And what a great player this guy's been for that defense too in the nickelback situation. But the Seattle Seahawks, again, I think they will compete. Like I said, they always fight hard no matter what, and this is a tough division to do something in. So I think they'll represent, but I don't think they'll end up last in this division. So
no, Arizona will be.
Yeah, exactly. So let's move on so I wonder, after they finish out this division or this season, do they go look to the draft for a quarterback in the future here and start to move on from Geno Smith?
I mean, that's the one thing that we've been waiting to see when they would do that, because we know they have to draft a quarterback. Like, it's not something, even though,
unless, Sam Howell, they see something out of him this and say, maybe we can light the torch and bring it over, but
we're not going to do a reclamation project all over again. Like, they definitely need to find their guy, their true guy for the future. I know some fans might be holding out hope and saying, well, we got Sam Howell, maybe he could develop. He could, but there's a reason why Washington didn't keep him, right? Like I know there's talent there. I know you possibly could develop it and all that, a different coaching staff and what have you. But let's face reality. Like, it's not likely. Could happen, but not likely. So I definitely foresee them kind of looking for a quarterback relatively soon before contracts start to expire for that team. So I would say, if I had to guess, like, this year they would draft a quarterback. I don't think so. I think they might wait 2 years later before they pull the trigger on that. But then again, it also depends where they're picking, right? If they're too low, they're not going to give up the compensation that's needed to get all the way up there just for one player. But if they're kind of close, maybe bottom of the top 10 or something, maybe they could pull off a deal to do it. But again, we'll have to wait and see where they finish.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these two boxes.